Hello, my name is Angel De La Cruz, and today I will be going over Arizona's language development approach. And let's get right into it. So, Arizona's definition of an English learner or an EL student is somebody whose native language is not English and they are technically unable to perform ordinary work in English, like according to their day to day activities, or they are sort of struggling to comprehend regular or grade content appropriate instruction. So if we look at the demographic based on 2016 of the top 4 languages spoken by EL students in Arizona, we see on the right hand side that some of the languages were Spanish, Arabic, Vietnamese, and Navajo, which is a Native American language. So Arizona does have structured English immersion, which is abbreviated by SEI. This pretty much means that students are able to be affiliated in a language acquisition program to help them be familiar more with the language. And this is based on English instruction. So students who are EL students would have to have their work tailored or structured for them to grasp the concepts and the materials. And it just pretty much helps them overcome the language barrier that they may face. And in Arizona, they do 4 hours of English language development, I believe daily. So the Arizona language development approach has 4 basic principles. The first one is assessment-based behaviors and expectations. The second one is integrated instruction and disciplinary language and content. The third one is targeted and explicit language instruction. And the fourth one is assessment, monitoring, and feedback. So for the first one, pretty much it means that students are gonna focus on themselves, their cultural background, their heritage, and they're gonna figure out their strengths. So they're gonna have a chance to display their skills and showcase what they can bring to the table. But pretty much it's gonna be about encouraging them to, recognize their strengths and to sort of help them be more confident despite the language barrier. The second principle is based on scaffolding, which is any work or activity or resource that can help the student better understand the lesson. It's going to focus more on the language development by having them, write what they can, and also help them have collaborative discussions with their peers. So they can learn from their peers, see things from a new perspective, and learn that way. The third principle is more for them to have problem solving skills, and in doing so they're going to be encouraged to critically think, and this is an area for them to reflect on their abilities as a student and maybe see where they need to focus more time on in order to develop their language. And the fourth principle is more for the teacher to give them assessments. Formative assessments could be given daily, such as an exit ticket or a small quiz, and also for teachers to administer summative assessments, which are typically given at the end of a lesson or at the end of the year. So teachers would also have to give them rubrics, data based on the exams that they collect. They'll analyze it, and then they'll give the students feedback. So this is a very important step. It covers the assessment process cycle, and it's more so for the students to really learn from their teacher based on how they're performing on their assessments. So the student agency, this is pretty much meant for students to learn through meaningful activities, meaning that they are not just given busy work, that the assignments and activities that are administered to them are truly there to help them develop their English language skills. And also, it encourages them to be driven by their interests. So, this is where students are able to figure out their preferred learning method, their preferred learning style, and this is a good area for them to develop, note-taking skills and whatnot. But also, it encourages students to be sort of self-initiated, meaning not too much to the point where they're relying on the teacher to help them get started or help them complete their work, but they're able to take that initiative to do it by themselves, maybe get the work started, and then ask for help when they need it. So some of the state board approved models, there are 4: the newcomer approach, the pull-out method, 2-hour, and the 50-50. So each step has different allotted times for daily instruction, which includes areas of targeted and integrated instruction, but also the instructional grouping varies. So for newcomer, they have about 120 minutes for grades K through 5, and 100 minutes daily for grades 6 through 12. And the instructional grouping is only for English language learners. The pull-up method has 60 minutes for grades kinder through 5, and 50 minutes for grades 6 through 12 for both targeted and integrated. And the instructional grouping does vary. So targeted is for the English language learners only, and integrated is for both. The 2-hour method has 120 minutes for grades K through 5 and 100 minutes daily for targeted, meaning that the rest of the day is going to be integrated. Lastly, we have the 50-50, which does require a bilingual parent waiver, but this is where it sort of gets a little bit more specific. 30 minutes of targeted instruction for grades K through 5, and grades 6 through 12 have 25 minutes. The integrated does increase exponentially. So 90 minutes for integrated, 75 for grades 6 through 12, meaning that the rest of the day will be in English. So this is the program eligibility for EL. First, the students are given a survey, and this is given to all students who are enrolled into an Arizona school. If the survey determines that a student only speaks English at home, then they are not considered for EL. But if it is determined that there is another language, then they are sort of put on as a potential EL student. Then they're giving the AZELA assessment, which does measure their reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills. Then they are classified as either pre-emergent EL, emergent, basic, intermediate, or proficient. After that, the student is classified, and the parent is notified sort of on which step they are on according to the classification. Then if consent is given, the students are appropriately placed in a program. There are accommodations for EL students. The first one being alternative English language proficiency. So this is if a student has significant cognitive disabilities. Then they are given this exam. The last accommodations are meant for assessments. So students are able to have small group testing. They're able to have different seating arrangements or special furniture. They're able to have a test administrator who they're familiar with give the test to them. They can have them repeat the questions as many times as they'd like. They're able to have noise buffers to limit distractions, and devices such as glasses, hearing aids, and different technologies in order to help them best finish the assessment. That is the end of my presentation, and I thank you for listening.